Okay, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning to all. Okay, so hari ini kita akan sambung topik 10, accounting for liabilities. Okay, so the previous video we already discussed on current liabilities. Okay, so for this video we're going to discuss the non-current liabilities. Okay, all right. Okay, this is what we already discussed yesterday. Okay, the previous video. Okay, so today I'm going to proceed with the second part of the video, which is the non-current liabilities. Okay, so as we all know that this non-current liabilities are obligations towards external parties. Okay, that is not due within 1 year or not due within the company's reporting period. That means the tenure for these liabilities is longer than 1 year. Okay, so we're going to proceed with the first type of non-current liabilities. Okay, so the first one is the long-term notes payable. Okay, so this is what we've already discussed earlier. Okay, we already discussed the characteristic of notes payable. Okay, but now we are going to focus on long-term notes payable. Okay, so as we all know, long-term notes payables is also it's a written promissory note. Okay, actually it's an agreement signed by you and the company, signed by the company. Okay, but for long-term notes payable, okay, tenure dia lebih lama, okay, lebih daripada 12 bulan. So it is payable for more than a year. All right, and the company recognized liability to repay principal amount borrowed. Okay, so there are two items that you need to pay when you reach the specific date or the maturity date of the long-term notes payable, which is the principal, that is the amount borrowed, and also the interest. Okay, you need to bear in mind, because this is a long-term notes payable, so the interest paid are slightly different from the one that we did in the short-term notes payable. Okay, sebab kalau short-term note payable, you are going to pay the interest expense together with the principal on the maturity date. Okay, tapi for long-term notes payable, okay, how do we go about with the interest? Sebab pengiraan interest tu dia lebih lama. Okay, sebab tenure kamu lebih daripada 12 bulan. So you have to have a specific date in the future for the payments of the interest expense. Okay, so kenapa kita buat liability dalam bentuk long-term notes payable ni is because sometimes you need the money to purchase fixed asset, because you cannot owe the company that is selling you the fixed asset, but instead of berhutang dengan pembekal fixed asset tadi atau supplier of the fixed asset, you need to come out with a financing bantuan keuangan. Okay, so that is where you come out with this long-term notes payable. Okay, so you are able to purchase the fixed asset, okay, without owing anything to the supplier of the asset. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know whenever that we agreed to sign the long-term notes payable, okay, so the first thing that normally yang kita akan record is what we are going to do with the money. Okay, so normally we are using the money to record to purchase asset. So the first transaction that you need to record in your general journal ialah to record asset purchase. Okay, so normally this asset purchase, okay, kita tak akan credit accounts payable. All right, because the amount of payment that you need to make is higher. Okay, so kita akan issue a notes payable. So instead of crediting your accounts payable, kita akan credit notes payable. Okay, and then we are going to debit whatever asset that you bought, okay, using the notes payable money. All right, okay, and then secondly, you need to record the interest expense. Okay, so this interest expense is based on the tenure of your notes payable. So berapa lama yang kamu meminjam notes payable ni until the day of the maturity. Okay, so you need to record the interest expense. Okay, and then next you need to record payments of the note and interest on the maturity date. Okay, so this is actually the payment made. Okay, you need to bear in mind untuk yang B ni, okay, we are only recording the interest expense without any payment. Okay, so payment are still made during the maturity date. That means are paid together with the principal. Okay, tapi sebab kita faham interest expense is actually an macam belanja tahunan. So whenever that you exceed one particular accounting period, you need to declare ataupun you need to recognize the interest expense, because that interest expense will be included as expenses for the current accounting period. Okay, so you need to record whenever you reach the closing date of certain accounting period. Okay, but at that moment you are only recognizing the interest expense, belum buat bayaran lagi. So that is why kita akan credit interest payable. Okay, all right. So when are we going to make payments for this interest payable? So this interest payable will be paid together with the principal on the maturity date. Okay, so you need to calculate, you still need to calculate the maturity date for the notes payable. Okay, and the notes payable will be paid together with the interest payable that you already recognized earlier and any remaining interest expense. Okay, so normally for this kind of amount, okay, kita akan guna check untuk buat bayaran. So normally we are going to credit our bank accounts. All right. Okay, so we go to example. Okay, all right. So yang ni another way of recording the payments for notes payable. Okay, on the maturity date without the interest expense. Okay, so this is actually subject to the requirements of the questions. All right, so you are not supposed to memorize all this, sebab bukannya setiap kali pun kita akan catat guna catatan jurnal yang sama. Okay, so these are only the situation givens. Okay, provided you need to read the questions and you need to follow the requirements of the question. Okay, so kita tengok contoh example 8 ni. Okay, this company has purchased a machine. Okay. Okay, the price atau the amount that you need to pay for the machine is 25,000. Okay, and the purchase date is on the 1st of January 2012. All right, and payment is made by check. Okay, with the amount of 5,000 ringgit. Okay, so that means at that moment you only have 5,000 ringgit available to make payments for the asset. Okay, so you are not able to pay the whole amount. All right. So you are going to convert the balance of the purchase amount, okay, by signing a notes payable. So that means the balance of the machine, which is 20,000, okay, will be converted into notes payable. Okay, so yang ini yang dinyatakan dalam soalan tadi lah. So the remaining will be paid by signing a notes payable. Okay, and the tenure here is 5 years. That means you are supposed to settle everything within 5 years. But you need to bear in mind the annual rate for the notes payable, the interest rate for the notes payable is 8% per year. Okay, so that means you need to pay for the interest for 5 years. So it means 8% times 5. All right, but the principal remains as 20,000. Okay, so the end of reporting period is 31st December annually. Okay, this is actually the closing date for the company. Okay, so Marinding Enterprise, okay, the accounting period starts from 1st of January and ends on the 31st of December. All right, so you need to know the closing date, okay, in order for you to journalize the interest expense. Okay, so first thing that you need to do ialah kita akan prepare the journal entries to record transaction in 2012. Okay, so what happened throughout 2012? Okay, and then kita kena record payments of the notes and interest on the maturity date. So you issue the notes payable on 1st of January 2012. Okay, so the tenure is 5 years. So you need to find when is your maturity date. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to record the purchase of asset. Okay, so macam kita baca tadi dalam soalan, you bought a machine with a price of 25,000 ringgit. Okay, but you are only paying 5,000 using your check. Okay, and you have a remaining balance of 20,000 that is converted into notes payable. So that means you don't owe anything to the supplier of the machine. Kita dah bayar penuh 25,000. It's just that this 5,000 is actually from your pocket money. Okay, it is withdrawn from your bank accounts, but this 20,000 you need to borrow, okay, in a form of notes payable, and this money will be paid to the supplier of the machine. Alright, okay, so now kita dah catat catatan untuk pembelian aset. Okay, alright. Next one, we are going to record the interest expense. Okay, kenapa nak record interest expense? Sebab you need to understand every year your closing date is on the 31st of December. This is your closing date. That means setiap tahun saya akan declare my interest expense. But has I made any payment? Have I made any payments for the interest? Nope. Kita tidak akan buat sebarang bayaran untuk interest sehingga kita capai tempoh matang. Once you reach the maturity date, you are going to disburse your notes payable. Okay, that means payment will be made to clear your principal, and at the same time, you are going to pay for your interest expense as well. Okay, tapi dalam perakaunan, as you learn in topic 5, okay, apa saja belanja yang berlaku pada tahun semasa mestilah dicatat untuk tahun tersebut sahaja, regardless payment made or not. Okay, so you need to recognize the interest expense for the particular company on every closing date. So kita start beli 1 hari bulan January 2012. That means when you are closing the account on the 31st of December 2012, that means here you have 1 year full of interest expense. Okay, tapi payment hasn't been made yet. Okay, so for the next year round, 2013, when you are doing the closing entries, you akan ada another interest expense that you need to recognize for this particular notes payable. Tapi masih juga belum buat bayaran. Okay, alright, so nanti kita akan kira bila kita punya maturity date. Okay, so bila saya nak record interest expense, sebab kita buat transaction untuk 2012, that means we are actually focusing on whatever that happens on that particular year. So ini ialah kejadian awal tadi when I bought the machine, and this is my adjustments for my interest expense when I am doing the closing entries on the 31st of December 2012. Okay, so kita akan debit interest expense, okay, on 2012, right? Okay, and kita akan credit sebab payment hasn't been made yet. Belum buat bayaran lagi. So you tak boleh credit bank ataupun cash. Okay, so this one will stay in your liability accounts. Okay, all right, so how much you need to pay actually for the interest expense for the year 2012? Okay, so interest expense tu kita tahu rate dia ialah 8% from the principal, so that means setiap tahun kita akan perlu bayar, actually perlu bayar tapi belum bayar lagi. Okay, the amount is 1,600. Okay, this is actually to record the interest expense for 2012. So this is just for one particular liability. Okay, that is your notes payable. Right, and you need to bear in mind apa-apa saja liability, normally they come together with the interest expense. So dalam your interest expense ni nanti, you have a lot of other transaction going on as well. Okay, sebab kita juga ada interest expense daripada bond, kita juga ada interest expense daripada loans. Okay, so all that will be gathered together in one particular ledger. Okay, so nanti kalau you come out with the interest expense ledger, actually kalau ada beberapa liabilities, all that will be recorded in one ledger, dalam ledger yang sama. Okay, alright, so now we are going to record our payment on our maturity date. Okay, so when is actually your maturity date? Okay, so yang ni sebenarnya kena kira. Okay, so tapi sebab kita buat tahun, that means it is actually easier for you to record. Alright, so your tenure starts from 1st of January 2012, okay, until 31st of December 2012. Alright, okay, so this is 1 year. So that means nanti 31st of December 2013 is another year. 31st of December 2014 is one more year. 31st of December 2015 is another year. Okay, so that means this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So the final ones, okay, sebab tenure you 5 tahun. So on the 31st of December 2016, that will be your 5th year, and the date of the maturity date is 31st of December 2016. Okay, so this is how we come out with the date for your maturity date. Okay, so kamu punya maturity date, okay, is on 2016, okay, December 31st. Okay, kenapa kita tak catat 1 Januari 2017? Okay, kalau kita catat sebagai 1 Januari 2017, that means your maturity date is actually 5 years plus 1 day. Okay, you need to bear in mind, bila dia kata 5 years, that means dia akan start 1 January, dia akan habis 31st December, that is 365 days. That is for one particular year. So kita akan disburse ataupun kita akan close this note payable on the dot. So your closing date is on the 31st of December 2016. Okay, so how much do I need to pay actually? Alright. Okay, so yang saya perlu bayar, okay, ialah okay, this will be 6,400. Okay. All right, and this one is the interest payable. Okay, which is 1,600. Okay, times 4. All right. Okay. So jumlah yang perlu kita bayar sebenarnya ialah, okay, you're going to credit bank, okay. This is actually the calculations, all right. So you need to credit your bank accounts, okay. Okay, the amount that you need to pay here is 28,000. All right, okay, that is your payments to disburse ataupun untuk untuk surrender the notes payable on the maturity date. Okay, so for those of you who are asking where do I get the amount of 6,400? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, so every year semasa awak tutup account ni, okay, 2012 you tutup, you akan declare 1,600 sebagai interest expense. Okay, this is what we did earlier here. Yang ni, yang kita buat ni tadi, 1,600. Yang ini ialah pada 31 Disember. Okay, this is for 2012. So you are going to do this particular adjustments on 2013, 2014, and 2015. Setiap tahun saya akan buat pelarasan untuk interest expense. But has the payment been made yet? Belum buat lagi. So that means every year you akan declare 1,600 dan dia akan masuk dalam liability iaitu interest payable sebanyak RM1,600. So you have from 2012, okay, until 2015. That means every year you have 1,600. So yang ni times 4. Okay, that's how I come out with the amount of 6,400. Okay, so dari mana pula Madam dapat 1,600? Okay, this is the interest expense for 2016. Sebab you are closing, okay, you are going to disburse ataupun you are going to surrender your notes payable sama tarikh dengan kita buat closing. So that means pada tarikh tersebut, sebelum kita buat closing, we are actually going to recognize the interest expense untuk tahun semasa juga. Okay, so on 2016, okay, the interest expense is 1,600. Okay, yang ini adalah accumulated from 2012 until 2015. Okay, so that's why you come out with the amount of 6,400. So actually, okay, your interest yang you nak kena bayar, macam saya explain tadi, is actually 1,600 times 5. This is the interest that you need to pay for the notes payable. Sebab tenure kita 5 tahun kan? Okay, but out of these 5 years, okay, 4 tahun ni, kita dah declare on previous accounting period. So that's why kita dah masukkan dia, okay, dan dia floating dalam interest payable lah, waiting for your disbursement date so that you can pay together with the current interest expense. Okay, so daripada 28,000 yang kita bayar ni, okay, we are actually paying for the principal and we are actually paying for the interest as well. Tetapi interest ni kita ada 1 tahun interest tahun semasa dan 4 tahun adalah interest daripada tahun 2012 hingga tahun 2015. Okay, so that will be your journal, okay, to record payments for the notes and interest on the maturity date. Okay, so you need to be very careful, especially when you are calculating the maturity date, and you need to be very careful to see the accounting period as well. Sebab accounting period akan menentukan bila sebenarnya kita akan declare our interest expense. Okay, the payments for notes payable principal tak ada masalah sebab nilai dia memang tidak berubah. Okay, tapi you still need to calculate for the interest expense. Okay, every year kita ada interest expense. Cuma kita belum bayar saja. So once you reach the maturity date, you are going to pay for your notes payable together with all the interest for 5 years. Sebab tu kita kumpul lah 4 tahun tu. Tapi sebab setiap tahun account dah ditutup, okay, so kita dah declare dia sebagai interest. So dia dah debit interest expense tadi, tapi sebab belum bayar, kita tak boleh credit bank atau credit cash, kita credit notes, interest payable. So that one stays as your liability from 2012 sampai 2015. Okay, so kita akan bayar dia bersama-sama dengan interest expense tahun semasa, which is 2016. Okay, alright, that is for your notes payable. So this one slightly complicated because kita keluar daripada tahun perakaunan semasa. Okay, previously when you did notes payable for the current notes payable, it's easier because tenure dia masih dalam tahun perakaunan yang sama. Okay, bila dia masih dalam tahun perakaunan yang sama, kita tidak ada sebarang gangguan tengah-tengah tu sebab tidak ada catatan pelarasan ataupun closing entries, tak ada catatan penutupan. Okay, so apa yang berlaku dekat sini sebab saya punya jangka tenure untuk notes payable tadi is 5 years. That means every year saya punya interest expense tu akan langkau satu accounting period. So that's why kita ada pelarasan. Okay, and pelarasan tu akan dibayar bersama-sama dengan principal semasa tarikh maturity. Okay, alright, so that is for your notes payable. Okay, so sekarang kita akan tengok mortgage payable. Alright. Okay, so mortgage payable, alright, is actually a long-term debt juga, sama, alright, tapi dia mestilah ada collateral ataupun backup, okay, with a security interest, alright, in specific property. So maknanya you kena cagar atau sandarkan sebarang aset sebagai cagaran before I can borrow the money. Okay, so the mortgage states that the borrower promised to transfer legal title to specific asset if the mortgage isn't paid on schedule. So meaning dekat sini, if anything were to happen, sekiranya anda gagal bayar balik this mortgage, alright, that means you need to transfer the legal title. Kita akan terpaksalah serahkan aset yang kita cagarkan tadi kepada pihak yang memberi pinjaman. Okay, so bank ada kuasa, normally we do it with a bank lah. Okay, so bank ada kuasa untuk ambil your property tadi and change the legal title. That means nama untuk aset tu pun akan berubah. Sebab apa? Sebab saya gagal untuk bayar my mortgage payable. Alright, so how do we record the mortgage payable? Okay, mortgage payable ni cara bayaran dia tak sama dengan liability lain sebab dia akan dibayar dalam bentuk installment. Okay, installment dekat sini maksudnya ansuran lah, dan ansuran ni selalunya kita buat bulanan. Okay, so you akan kira interest untuk mortgage tu setahun. Dan interest tu tak dibayar dalam one lump sum amount. Lump sum tu maksudnya kita bayar segedebuk macam tu, right? Okay, we don't do that. Okay, so for mortgage, normally when you calculate all your interest for that particular year, and then interest tu kita akan agihkan kepada 12 bulan. So dia akan dibayar bersama-sama dengan principal untuk mortgage tadi. So every month you are paying one amount which consists of your principal and your interest expense as well. Okay, so yang ni kita tak ada interest payable sebab kita memang terus bayar. Okay, so kalau kata before the closing date pun ialah tarikh kita bayar mortgage, so that means tidak ada interest payable lah. Interest payable tu hanya berlaku apabila you tak boleh bayar lagi perbelanjaan tersebut whenever that the expenses incurred. Okay, alright. So cara kita nak catat journal, we are going to debit our interest expense and also the mortgage payable, and we are going to credit our bank account. So normally payments made through transfer, okay, accounts transfer, that means from your bank account ataupun menggunakan check lah, okay. So we focus more on bank for mortgage payable. Actually notes payable pun kita memang fokus pada bank, okay. Sebab anything that is legal and borrowed from the bank, payment normally will be made through your bank accounts. So you are not supposed to carry the cash to pay all your liabilities. Okay, all right. Kita go through example 9 to see how you do the mortgage payable transaction. Okay, so for this company, they issue a 200,000 ringgit. Okay, this is the amount that you borrowed. That's 200,000 ringgit. Okay, and the interest rate for 1 year is 12%. Okay, so 12% for 12 months, that means 1% for one particular month. Okay, so every month there will be an additional 1% of interest together with the principal that you need to pay. All right, so mortgage ni berapa lama? Okay, so mortgage ni was obtained on December 21st. Okay, for 10 years mortgage. All right. So to obtain, dia nak buat something lah, okay, with the money. Okay, so the monthly installment, okay, ini adalah nilai yang telah ditetapkan. Okay, so every year, okay, dia memang dah, every month you are going to pay a fixed amount. Okay, so kita dah pinjam tadi 200,000. Okay, interest rate dia ialah 12%. That means 1% for 1 month. Okay, and the tenure is 10 years. Okay, and we are supposed to pay on a fixed installment amount. Okay, so setiap bulan mesti bayar RM2,057. Okay, alright. So macam mana dapat figure RM2,057 tu dan apa actually yang kita bayar dalam RM2,057 tadi. Okay, so instruction dekat sini dia minta you buat mortgage installment payment schedule. Okay, so dia minta for the first 4 months starting from the day that you issued the mortgage payable. And then kita akan prepare entry to record the 4th installment payment. So kita akan catat pada bulan yang keempat lah. Okay, so baca soalan betul-betul lah. Alright, so the first thing that I need to do is to do the table. Okay, the schedule for payments. Okay, alright. So here, this is my schedule of payments. Okay, so you are supposed to pay RM2,057. Okay, at that moment, your principal balance is 200,000. Okay, ini adalah hutang kita dari awal, starting. Okay, so for the first month, you pay RM2,057. Okay, what is RM2,057? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, your percentage of interest is 12%. So that means untuk 1 month is equivalent to 1%. Okay, so how much is 1%? All right, so 1% is actually, all right, 1% is actually RM2,000. Maksudnya setiap bulan saya mesti bayar RM2,000 worth of interest. Okay, so RM2,000 tu adalah nilai bunga yang saya perlu bayar. Tapi I am not only paying RM2,000, I am also paying the principal, which is the balance from the RM2,057. Okay, so bulan yang pertama kita bayar RM2,575 ni tadi, which consists of RM2,000 ni ialah your interest yang saya dapat melalui pengiraan dekat atas ni tadi. So balance tu you ada RM57. So what is actually that RM57? RM57 tu sebenarnya ialah principal. Okay, maksudnya itu ialah pokok yang awak pinjam tadi lah. So tadi you pinjam RM200,000. Dalam bulan yang pertama saya dah bayar RM57. Okay, so RM57 tu, that means pada bulan yang pertama, after I've made the payments of RM2,057, the balance for my principal is RM199,943. Nampak kan? Kita bayar amount yang agak besar, tapi hutang you tak gerak pun sangat lagi. Just tolak 57 because that 2,000 is actually for your interest. Okay, so interest ni bukannya every month 12 every month RM2,000, sebab dia is based on the latest balance. That means every month saya akan recalculate the interest expense. Okay, the basic rate is still 1% lah here. Alright, so for the second month, okay, saya masih bayar RM2,057. Tapi from that RM2,057, Berapa ialah nilai interest? Interest saya ialah yang ini 199,943 times 1%. Okay, so kalau you times 1% dekat situ, alright, and you'll get the amount of RM1,999.43. Okay, tapi we are going to take a round of figure. Okay, so kita akan catat sebagai RM1,999. Easier for you to calculate. Alright, so awak bayar RM2,057. Okay, and the interest is RM1,999. So that means balance dia kita ada RM58. So RM58 ni ialah principal yang you bayar untuk bulan kedua. Okay, so earlier you have here RM199,943. So kita dah bayar for the second month another RM58. So your principal untuk selepas bayaran yang kali kedua ni tinggal RM199,885. Okay, so the amount of principal, okay, untuk bulan yang kedua so far kamu baru bayar RM57 campur RM58 saja. So selepas bayar 2 kali excuse me, RM2,057, okay, hutang saya yang RM200,000 tu baru tolak RM115 saja. Alright, okay, so for the third month I am going to pay the same amount, which is RM2,057. Okay, but the interest for the second month is based on the latest balance. Okay, so my latest balance is 199,885. Okay, times 0.1%. So my interest rate here is 1,999. Okay, kita round up. That means dia in your calculator you akan dapat RM1,998 and 85 cents. So we are going to take that figure as RM1,999. Okay, so samalah. So the second month your principal is only RM58 saja yang kita bayar. So that leaves you with a balance of 199,827 ringgit. Okay, worth of principal. So selepas bayaran kali ketiga, okay, baru gerak lagi tadi 115 and then tambah lagi 58, baru gerak RM173 saja from the overall total. Okay, for the next month, for the fourth month, you are still paying for the same installment amount, okay, and your interest is 1% based on this amount. Okay, so earlier just now was 199,885. So kita round up ke 1,999. Okay, for the fourth month, the value for your principal ialah RM199,827. So bila kita darab dengan 1%, dia akan jadi RM1,998.27. So kita ambil, kita round off lah. Okay, so kita akan jadikan dia RM1,998. So for the fourth month, you are paying a principal of RM59. Naik RM1 je. Okay, so the balance towards the end of the fourth month is RM199,768. So the question requires you to catat nilai ini. Okay, so my journal will be, what do I need to record for this particular transaction? So I am paying RM2,057, okay, from my bank. So kita akan credit bank, okay, with the amount of RM2,057. Okay, so apakah account yang didebitkan? Alright, account yang didebitkan is your interest expense, which is 1,998 yang ni, the one in red. Okay, so this is the amount that I am paying for my interest. Alright, so mortgage ialah yang RM59 ni. So here is my principal. It's my mortgage payable actually. Okay, because I am supposed to revert that to the principal I borrowed earlier. Okay, so RM2,057. The breakdowns for it is actually 1,998 for your for your interest and RM59 for your principal. Okay, so every month pun kita akan ada pengiraan yang sama. That means you need to asingkan your principal and your interest so that you can see how much principal yang telah dibayar sehingga bulan yang you nak cari tu. Okay, but the staggered payments atau the installment is fixed. Okay, that means every month memang kita hanya akan bayar RM2,057. Okay, tapi you tak akan nampak beza yang sangat besar, especially for the first year of your tenure. Tapi nanti towards second half of the interest, the tenure, that means selalunya selepas 10 tahun baru kita akan okay. Alright. Alright, so now kita akan pergi ke bonds payable. Okay, another type of non-current liability. Okay, so bond payable, kalau you nampak saja perkataan payable tu, kita tahulah it's actually your liability sebab you're supposed to pay for it. Okay, so bond ni is actually a form of interest bearing notes payable. Okay, so dia pun sebenarnya sejenis liability lah, sejenis pinjaman. Okay, normally issued by a government, alright, or a corporation which is financially stable and strong. So normally yang bagi ni, not everybody are eligible for issuing a bond. Okay, so bond ni macam ikatan lah. So bila kita pinjam, so you need to pay back the principal that you borrowed together with the interest, depending on the tenure of your agreement. Okay, so the issuer, okay, is going to pay a face value and interest, alright, based on contractual interest rate to investor at the maturity date. Okay, so the one that gives you the money for your bearing notes payable ni, okay, your bonds payable ni, is actually called investors. Alright, so they invest dalam company, so they give you an amount of money for you to proceed with your business. Okay, so when you reach the maturity date or the interest date, you need to pay them the interest and also the principal. Okay, so setiap issuance of bond ni dia ada face value. Alright, face value tu ialah nilai yang dikeluarkan lah semasa kita tanda tangan bond tersebut. Alright, so to record the issuance of bond at face value, okay, so you need to debit your bank. Okay, untuk bond we are going to use only bank sebab we are dealing with a government company or a corporation. So using cash money is not advisable kan, sebab cash money susah sikit untuk kita record and trace. Okay, so we are going to make payments all through your bank accounts. Alright, so kita akan debit bank and kita akan credit bonds payable. So that is to record the issuance of bond. That means how much you are getting from the government or the corporation that invested into your company. Okay, so lepas tu every year you are going to record interest payment. Okay, sebab bond ni selalunya nilai dia sangat besar. So you can't afford to pay the principal together with the interest expense only on the maturity date. The amount will be like so huge. Okay, besar sangat nanti. So we can't afford to do that. Okay, tapi you akan bayar interest payment ni staggered lah. Okay, it's not every month. It's not like your mortgage payable earlier. Okay, it's not every month. Okay, interest ni selalunya kita akan bayar like quarterly ataupun every 6 months. Okay, depending on your agreement. Okay, so bila kita record payments tu, kita akan debit our interest expense. Okay, kita terus make payments for that. Okay, and kita akan credit bank. Alright. Tetapi if your tenure untuk bayar interest tu melangkaui satu accounting period, that means katakan saya punya bayaran untuk interest is every 6 months. Okay, and saya punya bond tu dia start 1 Oktober. Okay, so October, November, December is 3 months only. So the next 3 months I am supposed to pay for the interest is next year March. Tetapi bila saya cecah bulan December, at the same time my company is supposed to close the accounts for that particular year. So 3 bulan yang pertama ni adalah belanja interest untuk tahun semasa. The next 3 months dia dah masuk dalam tahun perakaunan yang berikutnya. So you need to do adjustments for your interest expense. Okay, so here you need to look at this one also lah. Alright. Okay, so nanti kita akan tengok juga how we record our interest expense and how we record our bond redemption as well. Okay, so untuk sini tadi, I'm going to record the adjustment of my interest expense, and then D, I am going to record the bond redemption on my maturity date. Okay, so redemption is actually you surrender your bonds payable lah. Okay, alright, so kita tengok soalan. Okay, so we look at example 10. Okay, Warisan Nusantara Berhad issued a bond. Okay, so kita ada 2 jenis bond dekat sini. One is AA, the second one is bond BB. Okay, so dekat situ dia ada bagi kamu face value. Okay, so the first bond is bond AA. The face value is 20 million. Alright. Okay, and the interest rate for the bond is 6%. So kalau dia bagi kamu interest rate macam ni, this is 6% is actually referring to 1 year of interest rate. Okay. Alright, so the bond was issued on 1st of May 2012. Okay, and dia akan matured after 10 years. Alright, so this is the first bond. Okay, the second one, the face value is 5 million ringgit. Okay, and the interest rate is 8%. Okay, and this one was issued a bit later, that is on the 1st of July 2012. Okay, and the amount is 10 tahun as well, 10 years. Alright, so the interest payment, okay, yang ni syarat yang kamu kena faham betul-betul. So the interest payments are made twice a year. So all these 2 bonds, interest akan dibayar setiap 6 bulan. Okay, so every month tu you need to pay to the investors atau to the bond holders lah. Okay, so Warisan Nusantara Berhad wants to redeem bond AA by paying cash on maturity date. Okay, so ini maklumat tambahan yang dia bagi. Okay, so apa yang dia minta kita buat? So you need to understand when you are given this kind of questions, the first thing that you need to do is to record the journal entries for the issuance of the bond. Okay, and then you need to record the interest payment. So the one that we are doing now is for the year 2012. Okay, and the final one dia suruh kamu catat, okay, the maturity date journal entry for bond AA. So bila disebut dekat situ bond AA redemption, that means yang ni dia dah capai maturity date. So bila dia dah capai maturity date, you must surrender ataupun redeem the bond. Okay, kita tutup lah, kita tebus balik. Alright, okay, so the first thing that you need to do is issuance of the bond. Okay, kita ada 2 bond, which is bond AA and bond BB. And tarikh berbeza. So bila tarikh berbeza, you're going to have two sets of journals for each bond, okay, on that particular date of issuance. Alright, so tarikh tu ialah tahun 2012. Okay, so I have here the first transaction ialah pada May 1st. That is when you issued the bond for AA. Alright, so bila saya issued bond untuk AA, I am going to debit bank. Okay, I am going to credit bonds payable. Okay, is it okay not to write AA 6%? Some of you might be asking about this. Okay, actually it doesn't matter sebab your your liability is actually the bonds payable. Okay, why do I write AA 6% here? It's just for tagging lah, so that we are aware that this journal is actually for the first issuance of bond AA. So kita boleh differentiate, oh ini untuk bond yang mana, ini untuk bond yang mana. So I just need to tag the liability, that's why AA 6% is there. Okay, tapi kalau you dah memang cekap buat journal, you know what you are doing, so you don't need to tag, that should be okay. Alright, so how much is the face value? Okay, the face value that is being issued is 20 million ringgit. Okay, so this is for bond AA. Alright, okay, and then we are going to record for the second one. Okay, the transaction will still be the same, but with a different amount of face value. Okay, so we are still going to debit bank and we are going to credit bond payable. Okay, but the amount here with a different face value amount, that is 5 million ringgit only. So you, kalau you tak tulis AA 6% ni pun tak ada masalah. Because in your explanation, you can write there to record, okay, sale of bond ataupun to record issuance of bond AA. Cukup. Okay, you don't need to mention face value pun should be okay. Alright, as long as kita tahu this is actually generalized, we are generalizing the issuance of bond. Okay, so this is for bond AA and below here is for bond BB. All right, okay, so we are going to pay the interest. Okay, so this is quite interesting, especially when you need to calculate the interest rate. Okay, so now I am going to record the interest payment. So as I mentioned earlier, the interest payment is made every 6 months of the from the date of issuance. So maksudnya saya issue bond tadi ialah 1st of May. Okay, so 6 months after 1st of May, that means 1st of May 1 bulan, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, so maksudnya setiap bulan Oktober saya akan buat payment untuk interest expense untuk bond AA. So bila? Alright, so 1st of May until 31st of May is considered 1 month. Okay, so on your the payments of the interest will be made on 31st of October. Kenapa 31st October? Sebab Oktober ada 31 hari ya. Kalau September dia akan jadi 30 lah. Alright, so this is my 6 month period. Okay, so this will be the date for me to pay the interest expense. Okay, so I am going to pay the interest expense for AA for the first 6 months. So the date here will be year 2012. Okay, amount ialah, sorry, the date is October 31st. Okay, so kita terus bayar kita bukan kumpul, kita terus bayar on the spot. Alright, so that means we are going to debit interest expense and we are going to credit bank. Okay, but please bear in mind yang 6% dia beri dalam soalan tadi itu ialah untuk setahun. You are not paying for one whole year. You are paying only for 6 months, the first 6 months. Okay. So the calculations will be 20 million times 6% times 6 upon 12. Okay, sebab kita baru membayar untuk 6 bulan yang pertama. Okay, so amount that must be paid for the first 6 months, okay, the interest is 60,000. Okay, it's a lot. That's why kita bayar terus. Kita tak perlu tunggu sampai maturity date. Okay, all right. So we are done with the first payment for interest for bond AA. Okay, now let's say dah selepas 10 tahun, macam cerita fairy tales, but after 10 years, okay, before we live happily ever after, okay, we are going to make payments. Oh, sorry. You need to pay for both lah kan? Okay, I only catat untuk AA, so I need to do for BB pula. Okay, really sorry for that. Okay, so untuk BB, okay, sebab you issue bond BB ni on 1st of July 2012. Okay, so cara bayaran tu sama juga, every 6 months. Okay, so untuk bonds BB, so 6 months ialah July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so 1st of July sampai 31st of July is considered 1 month. So bulan yang ke-6 tu, okay, is 31st of December. Kebetulan tarikh closing. Okay, so saya pun bayarlah pada tarikh ini sebelum closing entries. Okay, so on the 31st of December, the same year, we are supposed to pay for another interest expense that is for bond BB. Tapi tarikh tak sama. So this is 2012. And since we are paying on the dot, okay, we don't owe anything. We are paying the interest on the dot. So dia akan debit interest expense as well. And kita akan credit bank. Okay, so amount dekat sini ialah based on 8%, the interest rate given in the question. Okay, and the face value is 5 million, tetapi you must remember this is for the first 6 months of interest. So dia punya interest rate is 6 upon 12. Okay, so the amount that you are paying on the 31st of December untuk bond BB is 200,000 ringgit. So every year, every 6 months kita akan come out with this amount lah. Amount ni tak berubah. So you kira sekali saja, you dah tahu dah every 6 months nanti kita akan bayar nilai yang sama. Okay, so untuk bond AA, kita bayar setiap 6 bulan kan? Okay, so bond AA bulan yang ke-6 ialah bulan 10, 31 hari bulan 10. Okay, 1st of May sampai 31st of October, that will be the first 6 months. Okay, so nanti dia akan start balik 1st of November. Okay, dan dia akan bayar bila? Dia akan bayar November, December, January, February, March, April. So 30 hari bulan April tu will be another 6 months of interest. Okay, tapi you kena ingat tengah-tengah ni ada account yang ditutup. Okay, so maknanya ada 2 bulan dalam tahun 2012, ada 4 bulan tahun 2013. So every year pun dia akan ada adjustment macam tu. So you kena faham when we reach our closing date, there will be adjustments for the interest expense. Okay, this is adjusting entries lah macam biasa. Kebetulan dia berlaku semasa kita nak tunggu 6 bulan untuk bayar for the liabilities. Okay, alright. Tapi kalau untuk BB, shouldn't be any problem. Sebab the first 6 months dia akan habis 31st of December. So nanti dia akan start balik 1st of January. Dan bayaran akan dibuat pada 30 hari bulan Jun. So dia akan bayar dia punya interest every 30th of June and 31st of December. Yang ini untuk B. Kalau AA tadi, dia akan bayar every 31st of October and 30th of April. Sebab dia every 6 months kan? So depending on the date you issue the bond. Alright? Okay, so kalau saya nak redeem, that means after 10 years. Okay, when is after 10 years? Okay, so kita issue bond ini, alright, we issued the bond on 1st of May 2012, right? Okay, I make it slightly bigger for you. So 1st of May 2012, okay, this is for 2012. Okay, so 1st of May 2012 until 30th of April 2013 is 1 year. Nampak ya? Okay. So your tenure untuk bond AA ni ialah 10 tahun. So that means 30th of April 2014 is the second year. Okay. So 30th of April 2015 is the third years. Okay. Okay. After 3 years. Okay. So bila tahun yang ke-10? So you have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So maksudnya 30 hari bulan April 2022 kita akan cecah 10 years. So this will be your maturity date. Okay. Alright. So bila saya nak buat catatan catatan penutupan for this particular bond, alright, I will put the date of the maturity or the date for the redemption is on the 30th of April 2022. Okay, alright. So apa yang kita akan bayar pada tahun tersebut? Okay, so what are we going to pay on that particular year? Okay, so this is what is going on for this particular year. Okay, so now saya nak bayar interest dulu kan? Okay, and I'm going to surrender the bond. Okay, so I am going to credit bank. Okay, the amount here is, just now you borrowed is 20 million, right? Okay, tapi on the day of the maturity date, okay, we are going to pay 20,600,000 ringgit. Okay, macam mana dapat 20,600,000 ringgit tu? Okay, we are back to the, sebab now kita berada di 30th of April 2022. Okay, awak kena ingat, okay, 6 bulan sebelum tu, okay, 6 months prior, okay, you kena bayar interest kan every 6 months. So maksudnya, okay, dia start daripada 1 November, okay, 2021 hingga 30 April 2022 is actually 6 months. Yang itu ialah the final interest expense yang kita kena bayar. Okay, sebab interest expense ni dia setiap 6 bulan. So 6 bulan yang terakhir sebelum you reach the maturity date, you have the final payment lah for the interest expense. Okay, alright. So now, this is 6 months, huh? Okay. So actually, masa saya nak redeem ni, okay, I need to pay for my interest kan. So interest kalau kita kira tadi, every 6 months, ialah 600,000. Okay? That's why I dapat nilai 20,600,000 ni. Tetapi kamu kena ingat, dari 1 hari bulan November nak pergi ke 30 hari bulan April ni, dia adalah 2 tahun perakaunan yang berbeza. Two different accounting period. Okay? So semasa dia nak jalan tengah-tengah ni, timeline dia dekat sini, dia ada closing date, which is on the 31st of December. Okay, so maksudnya out of that 6-month period of interest, okay, 2 bulan, okay, berada di tahun 2021 and 4 bulan berada di tahun 2022. So, semasa saya close account untuk bulan 12 tu, okay, so from 1st of November 2021 until 31st of December 2021, I have 2 months of interest. Okay, so yang ni kena recognize lah, kena declare sebagai interest sebab itu adalah belanja untuk tahun 2012. So what happened here, I am going to debit interest expense. Tapi dah buat bayaran belum? Tak, sebab memang tiap-tiap kali saya akan bayar pada bulan yang ke-6. So bayaran akan buat di sini. Tapi kenapa madam kena catat ini? Because this is your closing date, pelarasan. You kena faham daripada 600,000 tu, 200,000 tu berada pada tahun 2021, the balance will be on 2022. But the payment will be made next year. Okay, so kita akan credit interest payable. Okay, how much? You faham kan? Alright, that 600,000 is actually for 6 months. So sekarang kita cuma ada 2 bulan saja dekat sini. So that 2 bulan belongs to 2021. So here you are going to declare 200,000 of interest expense. Okay? So what happened to the balance? Balance tu kita akan catat pada bulan April. So nanti sepatutnya kalau kata belum matured lagi, let's say your AA bond belum matured lagi. So next year, alright, on 30th of April 2022, okay, let's say belum matured. So what I am supposed to do, I am supposed to pay for the interest, betul? So saya akan debit interest expense. Sebab I am paying for the next 6 months kan. Tapi saya kena faham daripada 600,000 ni tadi, I dah pecah 2. Sebab 200,000 adalah 2021 punya dah diiktiraf sebagai belanja. Dah declare di sini, dah recognize sebagai belanja. So now I am just paying for this. So I am going to debit interest expense and I am going to debit interest payable as well. Okay, interest expense ni ialah tahun semasa. Dia start daripada 1 Januari sampai 30 April. That is 4 months. So here the amount is actually, the amount is actually 40,000. 400,000. Okay, so amount here is 400,000. Your interest is supposed to be 600,000, right? Betul. Sebab yang lagi 200,000 tu is actually from my interest payable. So samalah, kita still credit bank with the amount of 600,000. Tetapi on this date as well, is supposed to be your redemption date. Tarikh kita surrender bond AA. So you are not just going to pay for this interest, yeah? You are also paying for the principal. Okay, so when I am paying for the principal, that means madam akan debit juga dekat sini bond payable. Alright, so how do we go about with the journal? So tadi saya dah debit interest expense. Yang ni untuk January. Okay, sampai April. Right? Okay, interest payable ni datang dari mana? Interest payable is your adjusting entries last year for November until December last year, 2021. Okay, so ini 4 bulan, ini 2 bulan. So cukuplah 600,000. So this one, the amount is 400,000 and your interest payable is 200,000. Okay, and the principal that I am going to redeem ataupun to disburse ialah 20 million. Okay, so how much you are supposed to pay bila kita surrender the bond AA on the maturity date. Maturity date ialah tarikh ini. Okay, so I am supposed to pay 20 million and 600,000. Okay, the amount here is taken from 600,000 of interest expense, which belongs, which is separated into two. Okay, 2 months belongs to the year of 2021 expense, and the balance 4 months belongs to 2022 expenses. Alright, so yang ini ialah nilai principal atau fees value yang you kena surrender. So pada tarikh maturity ni, nilai yang kita akan bayar ialah 20 million and 600,000. Okay, so this is how you record the redemption for bond AA. So not necessarily setiap kali akan ada interest expense and interest payable. Okay, yang ni berlaku sebab saya langkah tahun perakaunan tertentu. But if we are doing for bond AA, for bond BB, dia tak ada masalah ya. Sebab bond BB tu kita akan bayar first time on the 1st of July. The second time is on the 31st of December. Still within the same accounting period. So tak ada closing. So bila tak ada closing, tak ada adjusting entries. Alright, so your interest payable ni depends on your accounting period lah. Okay, whether there is adjustments or not. Okay, so the final part of this topic, okay, we are going to see how we present the liabilities in your statement of financial position. Okay, so let's say this is your partial financial position. Okay, the name of the company. All right. Asset, okay, 31st of December, the date of it lah. Okay, so how do we record, how do we present the non-current liabilities and current liabilities in your financial position? Okay, this will be stated after the owner's equity part. Okay, so below owner's equity, you will list down all your non-current liabilities. Okay, and you see here, I separated the bonds into two because both bonds have different face value. Okay, so we'll consider one bond is for one particular ledger. Okay, so you have the balance for bonds payable 6% and also for bond payable 8%. And then below the non-current liabilities, you will list down all your current liabilities. Okay, this is the earlier part of the topic which we discussed in the previous video. Okay, so and then you will total up everything and you'll get the total for your liabilities. Okay, all right. So this is how you go about with your non-current liabilities. Okay, and I hope my explanation will do justice to your understanding. Okay, and thank you for your time. Okay, and that is all for topic 10. Okay, thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum.